Alright, so we could transition out of all the deep stuff, all the unraveling who you are, and now get into, the content game, You're into
Yeah.
lifestyle, fashion, hair and beauty. Um, I know you've been doing this for a while, but do you feel as though that you have a social responsibility in like the content you make, like in terms of not only making sure that the products that you may advertise are things that you actually use, because you don't want to mislead your consumers, but like we live in reality. Sometimes there's real world stuff going on, especially right now.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I think public opinion could be kind of split in terms of like, should people be talking about this? Where it's like, you're not a journalist, you're not an expert on certain things. Other, and then you also have the other side of like, like, oh, how come this person isn't saying anything about this, but they want to sell us products or whatever the case is? Like, what, how does social responsibility work when it comes to you and your brand and your business?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I am always going to use my platform to speak out for the people who deserve to be spoken out for. You know what I mean? Like, in any situation during the pandemic, during heavy movements, during this time now, I do believe it is my personal social responsibility. I never put that responsibility on other people. People are going to share what they feel like they need to. Just
Mm-hmm.
because somebody's not sharing something does not mean they're not doing the work, doesn't mean they're not donating, not protesting, not
Right.
trying to learn about what's going on. I think it is my responsibility because I am such an empath. I care so deeply about people, and I want to do everything I can, in my capacity. It looks like using my platform, it looks like donating, it looks like showing up in person and doing all of those things. So yes, I would say that it is my social responsibility in the content that I make. I do think that I was actually just thinking this to myself and kind of like journaling it the other day. Like I used to be so much more of a radical in a lot of the content that I posted,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I feel like that's something that I want to get back to in terms of just like I don't know, showing my support to movements or using my platform to speak out. So much of social media now is witty captions, quick things, style, fashion, just like and entertainment, of course, education, but being that I am not an expert in a lot of the things that go on. I do my learning, I do my educating of myself, I read on things, I try to find reputable sources to refer to in these moments. A lot of the time, all I have is to express is my emotions toward the movement or
Mm-hmm.
whatever's going on. I think also like with Instagram stories, just to like take it on um, a surface level like view, Instagram stories has taken away some of the need to like post things in feed, which constantly showing your support in stories and things like that. But like for me, having something that lives on my feet was always something that felt very strong, felt very firm to me. And I would love to get back to that place. So yeah, I definitely think it's a social responsibility though, for me personally.
Okay, I can understand that perspective, and I appreciate that that you are doing the work when you do want to voice your opinion or show support for any cause. 'Cause I think we've all come across some sort of content, and people just say whatever it is that comes across their mind, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But then a lot of times it's like this is misinformation, or you
Yeah,
don't have all
absolutely.
the facts. So it's good
Absolutely.
that you're doing the work. And then correct me if I'm wrong here. I feel like I know a big thing that gets discussed now is this whole soft life thing. Um, and I feel like the idea of it has changed over time. I feel like the initial ideology of soft life was like comfort and like ease and like not necessarily having stress in any aspect of life. And that's kind of turned into, oh, I need a certain type of individual who is going to fund my lifestyle to do, you know, the trips every other week, the bags, the designer stuff, like, and I don't know. I don't want to say that partially content creators have participated in that,
Yeah.
but the argument could be made that some content creators have participated in that. And then, of course, some of them do have influence. So now something that was like, a fair and honest concept or ideology has now turned into like, well, if you ain't gonna provide me the soft life, like I can't be with you. Like, don't even holler at me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, I am not the best person to ask this because I've never like, I don't know, I'm just different. I'm just so different. I've always been hyper independent. I've always taken care of myself. I've always lived like a hustle, move, like go kind of lifestyle. So the soft life has never been something that I have
Promoted.
promoted, but also just like resonated with, I guess,
Mm,
is the word that I would go for. I think that yes, it definitely has changed. It definitely has transformed into this whole thing. And like, sorry ladies, but like, I don't know, I just feel like when you're in a relationship, like, yes, of course you want someone who's going to take care of you, but like it should be taking care of each other. You know what I mean? In some way, shape, or form. It's not going to be 50-50 every single day. Sometimes it's going to be, like 20-80. It's going to be 70-30. It's going to be 60-40. Like, it's going to be sometimes both people only have 25% or 15% or 10% to show up with. Um, but I think this whole idea of if he can't or she can't or they can't buy me a bag, if they can't take me on a trip, I think that it's so, so, so detrimental to healthy relationships
mm,
because I don't know, like, I just feel like, yes, all of that is nice, but you're on a trip and you're being bought a bag with a person who is verbally abusing you, physically abusing you, harming you in some way, shape, or form. Like, I just think that people's priorities are a little bit mixed up here when it comes to the soft life. I think I view the soft life as like a healthy relationship where we can have great discourse and like, take care of each other. Like that's what the
mm,
soft life looks like to me. And I think that, yes, a lot of people, because it's men and women who have like kind of distorted the definition of soft life. A lot of men feel like if I have to pay, like, I want to have a soft life too. So if I got to pay all your bills, then you need to be cooking, cleaning, and doing all like the traditional, like, kind of household things for me.
mm,
And, women feel like, well, if you can't pay for this, that, and the other, you can't take care of this, that, and the other. Like, why am I having to pump my gas or change my oil? I'm also not a woman who believes in gender roles. So, again, I'm not
mm,
the best person to ask because, like, I literally will take out the trash in a second. I will go get my oil change by myself. Like, I know how to change a tire. Like, so, like, these are things that I will just do. I don't do them because my partner is amazing and
mm.
she takes care of them without me having to ask. But I can and I would, but she normally does it before I even have the opportunity to.
Right.
But yeah, like I just feel like, yeah, people have definitely distorted the image of soft life. Influencers have played a huge part in that. A lot of people who have these mindsets of they need to be taken care of, they need to be, on both sides, men and women. Again, like men feel like they need to have everything done for them if they're going to be paying for everything, and women feel like they need to have everything paid for but not do anything. You know what I mean? So it's like two sides of a horrible sword. Like, what are you going to do?
Right. 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 Right.
But yeah,
And then I don't even want to make it seem like I was coming at women in any sort of facet. If
no,
you're
yeah, no, it's not
somebody
that.
who believes, if you're somebody who believes that or prefers someone who finances their lifestyle, that's your preference and you're
That is
totally
your
within, yeah,
business.
you're totally within your right. I'm not no hater about that. But I also wished, and I've only even just discovered this recently, I also wish that for the people that do want that to actually realize like the numbers are not that large. Like I remember I was scrolling through Twitter one day and I randomly, I think I was on mistakenly on like the I don't even know what they call that tab now, like the For You page or whatever it is. So it's like
Yeah.
random people that you don't even follow.
Yeah.
Saw some girl mentioning something, and then she just happened to talk about like, oh, I want a dude who's like 6 feet. He got to make over six figures and like whatever, listing all the stats or whatever.
Yeah.
Then she was like, oh, there's like a website where you can actually search up like statistics and it will tell you like the percentage of people in the country that fall under those statistics.
Oh, wow.
And she searched up everything, and then it said, and specifically it was black men. And then she searched up everything, and it was like, oh, there's only 0.0008% of black men that are over 6 feet, make over six figures, or whatever the case is. Don't know this girl from a hole in the wall, so I have no idea where she lives. But of that 0.0008%, what makes you think there's somebody that falls in that category in your vicinity? Those
Exactly.
individuals are probably not near you. And then unfortunately, when we're talking about, and this is a whole conversation itself, unfortunately, when we're talking about affluent black men, a lot of them don't even date their own race.
Hello.
So even if you do cross paths
That's
with
the
them,
conversation right there.
yeah, even if you do cross paths with him, he may not even be interested in you from the jump. So I just wish that people just had healthier perspectives in general. Whatever it is that you want, by all means, go ahead and get it, but like
Hmm.
understand the foundation behind it, or like, the
Absolutely.
truths behind it. Um, so moving on, this is something I just threw on here because I randomly saw this across social media, but like the FDA looking to ban like hair straightening products, which I believe has been like a conversation for a period of time of like different brands and like how they've been doing research and how different brands and the hair products that they release to the market have had a negative effect on black women, and specifically like fertility and like cancer and things of that nature. So I found it very interesting that finally, after generations, that they're finally looking into, you know, banning some of these products. And I would hope that whether it's people I know, people that's listening, or whoever, like people are looking for products or shopping with brands that actually look at black people as their consumer base. So it's like you have people who, oh, I only use Dove soap and I only use X, Y, and Z and whatever brand it is. And it's like, you do know these brands make their products for white people. And
Yeah.
even if you say, I don't even want to put her under the bus. I'm not even going to put her name under the bus. But even if you say, if you see certain celebrities in ads for these brands, they're not using those products in their home. Like, they're just there because they got the check.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just found that interesting. It's like, you know, we've had these conversations of like these products, and we already know, like, when it comes to the medical field and how the racism that's in it in terms of black women not getting the care that they deserve. So it's interesting that they're finally trying to make some sort of effort to like ban these products from being released. I mean,
Yeah.
hair straightening is just one. I'm sure there's plenty of other different types of products that are still harmful, but it is, at least we're starting off at one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I am fully behind banning them because I started getting relaxer in my hair when I was 6 years old.
Mm.
And my scalp was burned from a relaxer. My scalp was burned. Like, I'm talking scabs, like at the bottom
And it's
part.
crazy, not to, sorry for cutting you off, but it's
Yeah, no, you're
crazy
good.
how that has been part of like the black experience.
Yeah.
Like, it was never questioned. It was kind of like, oh, we all, like women would say, like, we all went through that. Like, it's supposed to be normal. And it's like,
Exactly.
no, it's not. Like,
That's
that is
not
harmful.
normal.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, I'm fully behind banning hair straightening products, the toxic ones and the ones that are, not supposed like why this can burn through plastic and metal. Why would you want to put that in your hair?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
so, yeah, like I did relaxers on my like literally put the relaxer in my hair because that's all I knew,
Hmm.
up until I was in college. Um, but I literally realized one day I was like, this is insane. Like, what are we doing?
Right. Right.
So yeah, I'm definitely for that. But I think that I hope that people will continue to do their research on, if you like to wear your hair straight and you like the creamy crack, that's your business. But like, I think that it's definitely something to consider. There is obviously I wouldn't say a healthy way because I don't think relaxers are healthy in any way, shape, or form. But I think there is a responsible way to get a relaxer. Um, if that is like your choice. But yeah, bye.
Goodbye.
Rid the world of them, please.
So, was it in college that you started to find products that worked better for like your skin and hair, or is it like a continuous search even at this point in life now?
Yeah, no, I definitely have like been able to find a routine that works well for my hair and my skin. I am definitely all about moisture, for my skin specifically, like vitamin C. I love anything that is hydrating. Hyaluronic acid is really great for my skin. And in terms of my hair is not super picky when it comes to like wash and condition.
Hmm.
Again, I try to stick to things that are very hydrating, detoxing or hydrating. Like I like to detox my hair at least once or twice a month because I go to the gym, I sweat, all those types of things, and then things that are hydrating shampoos, things like that. I don't put a lot of like things that I know are just not. They don't really vibe with my hair,
Hmm.
or just yeah, like I would never put Olaplex's purple shampoo in my hair because my hair is not blonde. You know what I mean? So like things like that. But yeah, I think I have really established a good routine. Even if I do switch out my products, a lot of the products that I use, even if I do use something different, do the same thing. They have
Hmm.
vitamin C, they have hyaluronic acid, they're hydrating, they're made for moisturizing your skin, like things like that. I try not to do too much either because yeah, I don't want to do too much to my face. I don't want anything to get messed up. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that men don't realize enough of like how much work that women put into like for their upkeep. So it's like you just mentioned vitamin C and all these minerals that you got to check. I've never had to do that for a long period of time. Thankfully, I found a black owned brand that I get my products from, so I know that it's safe. But even prior to that, like I was never doing any sort of research. Like that's typically not the way that we're programmed. But like for women, always it's from basically as a child, like you guys are always having to do some level of research to like read what products are safe, what isn't safe, and then sometimes even if it may have similar components as another product, it just may react to your skin or your hair differently. So
Right.
I don't think men are as aware of how much work goes into the upkeep, which kind of ties into the next point I wanted to discuss was like the reality of dealing with a baddie of how long it takes for y'all to get dressed, get your hair done, and it's interesting. Well, it's not even interesting. It's foolish how a man will be attracted to a woman whenever he sees her and whatever the case is. But then when he's finally with her, those same things that appealed to him, he now has a problem with. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, why you're dressed like this? Why you look like this? Why are you taking so long? And it's like, but that's how you found her. And
Yeah.
you should actually be happy that she wants to maintain this, even if it's not necessarily, of course, it's not necessarily for you, but it's also like for your partner to a certain extent. Like it's
Of
mainly for
course.
her, but it's also for your partner to a certain extent. But like,
Of
talk
course.
a little bit of like, maybe it's even dealing with you. It might take you like 3, 4 hours to get ready. And it's like, yo, reservations was at 7. It's now 9 o'clock. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, no. I mean, I am definitely I take a while typically. Like if I don't know what I'm wearing, 2.5 hours to get ready because I gotta have, my things. I need to have my iPad going with a show that I'm watching. That takes some time to set up sometimes. I got to do my full skincare routine, my full makeup routine. But if I know what I'm wearing and I don't have to do anything crazy like to my face,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like makeup and stuff like that, I'm like kind of a perfectionist when it comes to doing my makeup. So if I'm just doing a light face or something, I can be ready in like an hour. But
I
yeah, if I know what I'm wearing and I know like what kind of face I want to
think
do,
that's
it
a
might. My hair
Record.
already done. I can just pop it out of the bonnet. Yeah, I can be ready in like an hour, hour and a half. But like, um, if I don't know what I'm wearing and my hair is not the way that I need it to be, or I have to do something like special to it, like put it in a bun or something,
Mm.
then yeah, 2.5 hours easily. But I'm never like if I know we have reservations at 7, I'm starting to get ready at 4. Like I'm
I was
starting to
just about.
gather my bearings. I'm
I
gathering my
literally was
bearings to
just
get
about to
ready
say
like
that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. 5 at the latest. So yeah.
yeah. I usually always imagine like, all right, I gotta give her like at least a 4 hour window to like,
Of course. Of
yeah.
course.
Because
Yeah.
even in, funny enough, the closest uh relation I would have to that, if I have an outfit in my mind and I actually put it on and then I don't like it,
And you hate it.
then I gotta put on a new outfit. So
Yeah,
that's
so then you have to find a whole
yeah,
new
yeah,
fit.
yeah, yeah. So I
And
have to
that
give
takes
myself that
time.
window. Yeah, I gotta give myself a window. So see,
Exactly.
wait, men could relate too. We
Listen,
just
there are some baddies who are men too. Okay. Men have baddie energy sometimes too. So it's not just women.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I don't know if I've gotten that compliment, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm good.
With that being said, do you ever feel like you put unnecessary pressure on yourself? So it's like, I don't want to say you may consider yourself a public figure in any capacity, but you're a representation of yourself or your brand. So I could imagine being out and about and you may not want to be seen, or you may put on a little bit extra just in case you may run into somebody. So do you ever have those sort of thoughts, or it's kind of like, no, however y'all catch me is that's the way y'all catching me?
I'm done. Sometimes it depends. Sometimes I do like, I'll make sure that even if I am wearing sweats, it looks put together. Or if I'm traveling or something, I'll have like a cute travel fit, stuff like that. If we're going to the grocery store, I'll just make sure things match and it's not like too crazy. But sometimes I really could give two left fucks and I will put on whatever. My hair will look like whatever and it'll be so I don't know. Yeah, it just kind of depends. Some days I really could care less and then other days I am a little bit more conscious of it. But definitely unnecessary pressure, just period. Even if I'm not like doing a full face, because typically if like we're going grocery shopping or something like that, like, or something chill, I won't put on a full face. I'll still like brush up my eyebrows and make sure my eyebrow, I'm not trying to have them look like crazy or nothing. I'll throw on some lip gloss, but yeah, no, for the most part, I'm pretty chill when it comes to that. But when I'm going to like an event or something, or I'm going somewhere where I know I'm gonna like be seeing people who know me or like whatever, yeah, I there's so much pressure. Like I'm like, dang, I already wore that on Instagram, so like I gotta remix it somehow, or like, I gotta wear something new and different or whatever. And in reality, that shit really doesn't matter. But yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, I don't think that's gonna stop.
no,
Yeah,
no,
because I've had a bad habit of like, if I'm dating somebody, I would buy like a new outfit every time we're going out, because it's
yeah,
like, nah, you can't see me in anything that you've seen me in before. Like, you got to see me as something new. Like, you got to be like,
yeah,
oh wow, like you really put this together. It's like, something light, something light. Little did you know, I was waiting in them packages for the last 24 hours.
right, exactly. I had to put an express order in.
Crazy, crazy. The things we do, the
I
things we
know
do.
it's hilarious.
Um, so you started content creation in like 2016, 2017. It's been 7 years later. Did you think you would reach this pinnacle, like reach this status, or like when you started it back then, it was kind of like, okay, this is a form of expression. This is what I was been doing this naturally. Now I want to like take this seriously. But now it's like, I don't think, because content creation is so new, there really hasn't necessarily been like, okay, this is the kind of person I want to be, or this is the person I'm looking or modeling my business after. You all have been kind of just discovering your path. So did you think like you would reach this status at this point?
No, no, I did not. Not when I first started. I also didn't have any indication of what it would turn into. Some people like again nowadays it's different. You do certain things, you have great content, you're very like attractive or entertaining or
Mm.
educational. Like your stuff's gonna be doing what it needs to do. But back then, there was no, back then, lol. Back in my day, no, I mean, I really didn't have any indication that things would take off the way that they did. I was a server, a nanny. I worked several odd jobs on campus, like with school. I was working anywhere between 3 and 4 jobs at a time. And I thought that that would kind of just be my life until I got into the corporate world, or until I moved to New York and got into the beauty world, the fashion world, the magazine world, something like that.
Hmm.
And even then, I never thought that I would get to a point of prestige, just like being able to be there, be behind the scenes, see the things, do the things. Um, yeah, no, I never had any indication that it would be like this, that I would actually be able to do it full time. And even when I did go full time back in 2019, because I got fired from my job, um, I literally didn't know. I knew that I had made enough to survive, and if I had to get another serving job, which was completely my plan when I moved to New York, and then things really just took off, so I didn't have to, then I would have done that. I would have done anything that I needed to stay afloat, to continue doing what I loved, to fund what I loved, because that's what all my other jobs did. They just funded, being able to shoot, being able to have time off. I'd work 3 16-hour shifts in a row
Hmm.
so that I could have another like 2 days off so that I could just like create content and do all those things. So never thought that I would get to this place. It is, I'm truly living out a dream. There are so many more dreams to achieve, of course, so much more ahead of me. But no, I didn't think that I would ever get to this point. I think some part of me always had like a little inkling that I would always be okay and I would
Hmm.
be fine. But no, I never thought that I would get here, and I'm so grateful to be here.
Do you ever have those random moments like you may be at an event or you do a lot of traveling, you're in a different country, and then you may wake up and it's like, I'm really doing this. Like, I'm really
Yeah.
out here. Like, I was just complaining about them 3 shifts and now look at me.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. When I was in Paris, I was sitting at a little shop at it was like a gelato shop, and this guy set up a little music thing. It was two guys. One was playing the piano, the other was like, I don't even know what the instrument was, but it was like one of those things like the jazz people do where it's like a drum, but it's not a drum. It sounds like that kind of sound. Anyway,
Okay.
so yeah. they they set up outside of the gelato shop that I was at. And I was sitting across from Ash. We're in another country, a country that I had wanted to travel to for the longest. I was there funding it because I do what I do, listening to jazz music that I know my grandfather would have loved. And yeah, I just like literally started sobbing because I was just so grateful to be there, and to be here and to be doing what I'm doing. So yeah, I have gratefulness moments every day. Honestly, I being able to live the schedule that I live that's not
Hmm.
dominated by anybody else but myself, and sometimes brands that I have to submit to when I have deadlines, but being able to have autonomy over my time, over when I do things, over how I do them. Yeah, I mean, I feel grateful for that every single day. And of course, there are pivotal moments that like I can pick out, like the memory in Paris where it's like, wow, this is really crazy that this is my life.
Hmm.
But truly, I feel grateful for this job every single day, which is why I often do not complain or like have anything bad to say about this job, because although it can be stressful at times, it is one of the most amazing jobs that I never thought would even ever be a thing, ever. So yeah.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. That's beautiful. But also, you work damn hard. So it's
Thanks.
well deserved and it's well earned.
Thanks.
Speaking on the work that you put in, like I think most consumers don't really realize how much work goes into what any sort of content creator does, like podcasting, whether you're an influencer of any kind. Like there's a lot of prep work, there's a lot of production work behind the scenes, and those things take weeks, sometimes months before you see the finished product in front of you,
Hmm.
in front of them. So it's like talk about how much work goes into the creation process and like how
Yeah.
far in advance do you like plan the your content.
As far in advance as humanly possible. A lot of the times with this job, things will be last minute. Like I just had a call on Friday for a campaign that's going to be due, that was originally supposed to be due on Wednesday, this
Mm,
coming Wednesday. And we just had the call on Friday. So and I typically don't like to work on weekends
mm.
because other people don't work on weekends. So why should I have to work on weekends?
Right.
But yeah, like I have stuff that pops up and I have to do some last minute planning. So it really depends on the campaign, depends on when it comes through, but I try to do my planning as far ahead as possible. Um, and that doesn't always happen. Sometimes I am literally figuring it out while I'm shooting, or like figuring it out day of, because
Mm,
that's just how life goes and I have 50 million things to do at any given time. But when I can, and those are always the ones that come out the best, when I've like really taken my time to like plan everything out, write a script, plan out like scene by scene, do a creative treatment. Those kinds of things always come out the best, but they always are the ones that are incredibly, I won't say annoying, but they're incredibly tedious to create because it's just so much behind the scenes work that goes into it.
mm. With that being said, this kind of touches on my next question. Do you feel as though content creators are respected enough in terms of you all have to wear multiple hats? So it's like, okay, from a podcasting perspective, I'm technically an audio editor, I'm a social media marketer, on top of being a host, on top of being a video editor. Like, I'm doing all these different things because it's just not cost effective to like pay other people to do it. And it's the
Right.
same thing for content creation. You guys are your your own editors. You editing whatever audio, video. You're coming up with the concepts, and you guys wear so many different hats. And I feel as though not only do the consumers may not respect you enough, honestly, I don't think a lot of these brands also respect you guys enough, and just like, oh, like you just post this up and like people just like it. And it's like there's a whole process for it. That's why I'm where I'm at and other people are not where they're at. Like
Right.
there's levels to this. So it's like, do you feel
Right.
as though content creators are respected enough?
No, absolutely not. I still have people who think all I do is take photos and get free stuff. Like, it's insane. But yeah, no, and I mean that's just the creative side of it. You're not people I have management, so like I feel super grateful for that because I don't have to handle emails all the time. But
Right.
like people who don't have management have to deal with emails on a regular basis, going back and forth between brands by themselves, while also having to wear all those other creative hats. While also, when you're receiving all this money, you also have to manage that money. You have to be an accountant. You have to figure out a way to invest it properly. You have to figure out taxes. You have to figure out all of those things on an entrepreneurial scope.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, people who are falling into these jobs, they have no idea how to do that. On top of being a lawyer, because you have to read contracts and make sure that you're not signing your life away. So there's so much that goes into it. There's so much that people don't realize when they're becoming content creators that goes into it. And they think, oh, cool, I'm just creating content. Everything's cool. But like they're signing away rights to all of their content and ending up on billboards and only getting paid $700 for
Mm-hmm.
ads to be run, billboards to be up in different states, their stuff to be on boxes, hair boxes, whatever, and different forms of media. They're getting screwed over legally because they don't know how to read a contract. They don't know what whitelisting is. They don't know like the jargon. They don't know how to read these things and understand what's going on with their contracts. Um, yeah, and then handling money is a whole different thing because you have to pay your taxes, and like people get hit with hefty bills because they're not an LLC and they haven't created an S corp and they're not operating as a business. They're operating as an independent, and they're having to pay the max amount of taxes instead of operating in a way as a business and
Mm-hmm.
having to do it that way. So Aside of the creative things, there's admin things. There is trying to have a life outside of all of that as well, which is why having an assistant for a lot of people is really a great thing, but it's not financially feasible all the time.
Right.
Having management, but management companies, they're very selective, so there's so many things that go into this job outside of just the creative, and the creative has 12 hats of its own. So no, I don't feel like we're respected enough. I don't feel like people will ever understand it unless they're actually doing it or unless
Hmm.
they have a close up view. Because, transparently, she's mentioned to me, and to our friends that like she had no idea what went into all of this until she got an up close view. And most people don't, and that just is what it is. We know what's going on behind the scenes. We know that we're wearing at this point 50 hats because you have to really stay on top of everything on the business side of things, on top of staying on top of the algorithm, on staying on top of the different platforms that are constantly being created, staying on top of how to really exercise your creative juices and do something different and do something that's not the same thing that everybody else is doing. So yeah, so
Right.
much.
Like that. The 160-second clip you may see on Instagram actually took like 60 man hours to actually get done. Like it's not just, people just grab a camera and then, shoot something and call it a day. Like there's a lot of pre-production process. And like you
Yeah,
mentioned, all the different nuances that are behind content creation or just any sort of creation in general. Like if you want it to look and feel a certain way, it requires a lot behind the scenes.
absolutely.
I've had this conversation with Veronica before because I was not familiar with like the whole net 30 and net 45 concept. And like, even now, as somebody who works for a marketing agency and noticing like the relationship between agencies and and brands or institutions, do you feel as though there needs to be like some sort of union so that way there's a better relationship between brands and creators? Like thankfully, well, let me not say thankfully. I am not a freelancer, so I have
Mhm.
never participated in the net 30, net 45 sort of behavior, but I know that's not my life. I couldn't deal with that. And then on top of that, you have brands that don't even pay on time. On top of,
Right.
some of these brands have poor business practices
Yeah,
outside of just, from a
and it's not
payments.
the ones that you think.
Right, right, right. But yeah, do you feel as though there should be some sort of union? We've seen the writers and the actors striking for better relationships between the studios. I feel like that will probably be the next big thing of like eventually at some point content creators will gather together and like, hey, things need to change. Like
Right.
this system, we know it's been new, so that's why things have operated the way they've operated, but it's not working and things need to change.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel qualified to like really make a firm statement on whether or not we should have a union. Mostly because I'm not super versed on what exactly unions do. I know they like work for the rights of the people who are under the unions, but I don't know what that would look like for content creators. I know for people who are in the actor and writer space, um, it's definitely very beneficial, and I don't think that it would be I do think that it would be beneficial to have the option of a union,
Mm-hmm.
but I would be interested to see what that would look like for content creators before taking a firm stance on it. I am definitely pro do whatever's best for the largest group of people to, you know, make sure that everybody's getting paid fairly, to make sure that everybody's being treated fairly. Um, and everything like that. So I would say that just based off of what I know of unions, that I would definitely be
Mm-hmm.
pro union. But I would love to see what that would look like in the future if it does ever occur.
Okay, okay, that's fair answer. I think the reasoning behind my question, I think what we have is that whether you're an individual or you work for an agency or whatever the case is, or whoever the brand is, there's like different rules and different standards for everybody.
Of
And without
course.
having that standard, and without having that standard, I feel as though there may be a group of people, like you mentioned, that are getting mistreated and are getting, you know, abused in some sort of facet of not getting paid for certain things and things of that nature. And I think a union would be like, hey, we need to define terms that work across the board, regardless of where you're signed or not signed. So that way, for people that do come into the industry, they're not being taken advantage of. And I think
Absolutely.
some sort of union would probably help with that. But who knows? I could be wrong. I like you.
No.
I'm not an expert here, so I don't have a stance either way. It's just an interesting conversation because I have a few friends that are working in the industry, and it seems like they all operate in different circles and deal with different things, and it's like, which is fine, but then it's also like, okay, but when you have some, let's say somebody who does want to like push back and say, hey, I don't want to participate in this, or like this should be different. There's really no like governing body or governing law of like this is what everybody should be uh everybody should be applied to, and like what people should reference is like, okay, if you're a new influencer and you only have X amount of followers or whatever, and you can only your algorithm, well, not algorithm, your statistics is only a certain amount, this is where you are from like a pay scale or in terms of ask or whatever the case is, versus like other people. And it's like some people, like I said, like you mentioned, people are not getting paid accordingly, and without that standard, there's really no way for people to reference something. You could just, and a lot of people are just not going to be public about what it is that they make,
Yeah.
which is understandable. But I don't know, it was just a random thought, just a random thought.
I love random thoughts, so that's great. Yeah, no, I definitely think that that would be interesting to see how that would unfold. And I just a light stance would be my thoughts would be that I would be for it because I absolutely want everybody to get paid fairly and to be receiving proper care in this field. So I would think that I would be for it, but it would just be interesting to see like what that would look like.
Right, right, same here, same here.
Yeah.
I believe when you went to school, it was for mass communications and PR.
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, your initial, um, I don't want to call it the dream, but I guess your thought process was when you was done with school, you was going to be a writer or editor for fashion mags. Were there any mags growing up that really stood out for you? I'm going to assume like the Essence mags, Jet
Yeah.
magazines,
Yeah.
like were those the ones that like, okay, I remember when I looked through this issue and I saw this ad and things of that nature.
Yes, Essence was at the top of my list. I wanted to work for Essence so bad. I always loved that they like had Essence Fest in addition to having um, the magazine, which I thought was so cool. I love that they always did different things and worked with people of color. I also really loved like Teen Vogue, Vogue, all of those magazines, Elle, all of those magazines were. And what's the other one? Us Weekly, because I like to like
Um,
learn, like know about the gossip. So yeah, those are some of my faves. My stepfather, he had a collection of Jet magazines. So I combed through so many Jet magazines like as a preteen and teenager.
mhm.
And yeah, it just like really affirmed my love for writing. It really affirmed my love for like knowing the tea and like like learning about fashion, learning about hair, like learning about all different types of things and being able to um, put them into something that people can tangibly pick up and read, um, or have access to now online, obviously. So yeah, like I was so interested in that, and it would have been an amazing thing to do. But I'm happy with where I'm at.
Respect it. I respect it. Is print dead? Is print dead?
Hmm. I don't know. I want to say no because like I'm definitely like I like to hold a book. I like to hold a magazine type of person and look through the pages. But having things at the tip of our fingers is also like super nice to be able to and so convenient.
Mhm.
So I would say that it is dying, but I don't
Okay.
think that it is dead.
Is
Just yet.
there?
Just yet.
Could you foresee it coming back in some sort of facet, like a nostalgia sort of like piece, like the same way vinyl has come back?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, I feel like that's like life, everything just kind of recycles. And just like fashion recycles, just like trends recycle, just like new things pop up and different things, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely think that it could come back in some way, shape, or form. I think that a lot of people also, um yeah, they're like me and they like to like pick up a physical book,
Hmm.
and while having something, especially when you're traveling, like something like an iPad or like a Kindle or something to just flip through and like be able to have at your fingertips is convenient. I think that the comfort of a real like tangible book is just unmatched. So
I would agree. I
yeah.
would have to agree. I align. I align. So I'm assuming well, you mentioned that you journal. So I'm assuming that you also read a lot. What makes a good written piece to you?
Ooh, it depends. It really depends for me. I think if I'm reading like um just an article on someone, like I really love reading about people. I read Cicely Tyson's memoir, and wow, it was literally like I was reading or like just talking to my grandmother, like just like an older woman.
Mm.
The way that the book was written was very much like it started here in like 1968, and then she would throw it back to like sometime in her childhood and then bring it back to the present. And it was, I loved it, it was amazing. So I think that for that it's just very detailed but also conversational, something that's obviously informative, something that's more reading about what's going on in the world now. Lots of sources is definitely what I look for because I don't want fake news. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And then if I'm reading, I really love like the written version or the reading version of like when people do in person interviews. Like I just have started watching the Jay-Z interview with Gayle King and like seeing things written out, but also kind of like in a physical interview is really cool as well. So yeah, it just kind of depends on what it is. I'm not a stickler about how things are written all the
Hmm.
time. I think if it's like really, really wordy, sometimes it's a little bit boring. So I like to like things to be like straight to the point or just
Straightforward.
like capture my engagement immediately. Like
Hmm.
I love a good hook that like in the beginning of a book, just like something to capture my attention. And that keeps me invested. But yeah, I'm not super picky. I think that what I like is like me, very all over the place. But yeah, kind of just depends.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Um, what do you think are the key skills for an editor? I think we see so many things, whether it's social media, written pieces, and sometimes we wonder, like, how the hell did this actually make it to the consumer? And technically, that's the editor's job to, quality check certain things.
Yeah.
So, what do you think are the key skills for an editor?
I think the main one is knowledge. Like top is just knowledge of obviously, being able to look over a written work and be able to pull out the things that they know won't are not necessarily necessary to have in the piece,
Hmm.
but also knowing that like when something is tone deaf, knowing when something won't captivate an audience, knowing when something is going to offend people. And like offend people, offending people sometime in journalism, like, depending on what kind of column it is or what kind of piece it is or, what kind of book it is or whatever the case may be, like, you're not going to be able to please everybody. But like certain things, certain things, it's like you should be able to discern whether or not it should be able to make it into an article. So I think discernment is another big one, knowledge, discernment, um, and a certain level of being able to deliver feedback in a way that is constructive but blunt still. So yeah, those are just a couple of things. I feel like there's a lot that goes into being an editor. I think that like this job, being an influencer, it is a many hats type of job.
Hmm.
But I think that the top things would just be like knowledge about, worldly things, knowledge about whatever topic is being written about, whatever they're editing on, and extensive knowledge of it. And if not having that extensive knowledge off the top of their head, then being able to like really dive in and do the research so that they can, you know, be on their A game with that. But yeah, I feel like editors wear a lot of hats. They do a lot of things. They have their toe in so many aspects of whatever piece is being written. Um, that it takes a level of creativity. It takes a level of um, being able to guide the writers in the right direction, give them inspiration, provide motivation
Mhm.
towards things. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. I think that it's the list could go on and on, honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely a very multi-layered role. Like you can't just be a specialist in one thing. You kind of have to master many hats in order to do that job in general,
Well,
but also do it well. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
All right. Let's have a little fun here. And if you're willing to share, I think you mentioned, and shout out to the Herd podcast because I watched that first before I came up with crafting this episode for you and I. But I think on there you mentioned that your first brand deal was $250,
Yeah.
which, you know, I think for anybody would be like, yo, like I'm doing something that I enjoy, like whatever amount of money that I get paid for it, like I'm happy with. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially my first go at it. But, it's been 7 years. And let's be honest, life is a little different for you right now. Life is
Yeah.
life is good. Life is good. So it's like you went from 250. So where are you at right now? Like you don't have to give a specific number, but are you 6 figures, 7 figures? Like where we at with it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am blessed to be making over six figures in my career and doing that now for a couple of years in a row, which has been amazing. Feel so blessed. Um, and being able to rake in multiple five-figure deals per year. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that proper discourse in, of course, somewhat of a less public setting is always I love to be open about rates, especially with other creators,
Mm,
because if we don't talk to each other about it, then how are we ever going to be able to set a standard for brands and have them not screw us all over?
right.
So I definitely am always open to talking to other creators about my journey and going from making 250 to being able to make um, well over six figures for the past couple of years and maintaining that and sustaining those types of like relationships with brands so that it's possible to do that.
That's dope. That's dope. Okay, I have now a two-parter.
Okay.
If you can describe it, can you describe like the gratification you get from getting paid for doing something that you're passionate about? Like we've all worked different types of jobs. Like we've all done things because we had to. I
Yeah.
think there's definitely a different emotion when it's like I if the world didn't operate under capitalism and money wasn't really a thing, like I would do this for free. But I'm actually getting paid to do this. Is there a way for you to like describe that sort of feeling that you get for getting paid for doing what you love? And then also, like, of course, you work hard, you've been doing this for a while. I'm sure there was a point where it's like, all right, if I had some debt, I probably paid my debt off, took care of my loved ones in a certain facet. But what was like that first, like, all right, I'm about to like cash out. Like, this is my first big purchase. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a word to describe it. I think that it is an indescribable feeling. Just grateful, honestly, is the word that I would kind of reach for when it comes to describing how it feels to be living out a dream, a literal dream. Um, it feels, yeah, like just so gratifying. I mean, honestly, I'm just so grateful. I'm so happy. But it also is one of those things where it's just like I'm really doing this shit. Like it's crazy because it took for me to work with a brand like Nike for my family to understand what I was doing. It took for me to get fired from my job and not fall flat on my face and have my coworkers, see, because I had a manager kind of laugh me out over my dream. I spoke into existence, what I wanted to do and how I wanted to like do all the things that I was doing full time. And he kind of laughed it out. And I was like, okay. So to be able to like get paid, do a full time, not have to be working under nobody else, yeah, it's definitely like,
A beautiful thing.
look at me now. Yeah. And then in terms of like a big purchase that I made where I was like, ooh, this is really the things. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, of course, like all my luxury bags have been like, have felt like, whew, I can afford this. Like, wow,
Hmm.
this is crazy. But also just like being able to take care of my sister. She's in college, being able to help her out whenever I can, financially and take care of her has been the most gratifying expense, I guess you could say, or like purchase that I have been able to do and feel good about. So yeah, but yeah, just being able to help my siblings. My brother literally just texted me in the middle of this and was like, "Can you send me $25 for Subway?" Sure. So being able to do stuff like that is I'm so grateful, and it's something that I always wanted to do. I literally was just talking about this the other day with a friend where I said if I were to ever make it and like really be able to like take care of my people, I'm gonna make sure that they're good, and I can do that to a certain capacity. Of course, there
Right.
there is a ceiling right now, but hopefully in the future there doesn't have to be a ceiling to have where I help the people around me. And that's something that has always like taken precedence over any luxury purchase or big purchase, I guess, that I have ever made thus far. Maybe when I buy a house or like, a Tessie, that'll change. But
Right.
for now, it's a wonderful feeling to be able to help out my siblings and take care of the people that I love however I can, whenever I can. Um, and not, want or need anything in return.
Beautiful, beautiful response. Absolutely, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
Thanks.
You mentioned this a little bit in your response of losing your job. I know that when you lost your job, you kind of took that as an opportunity to transition to being an entrepreneur full time. And then you also decided, you know what? I'm moving to New York. We about to figure this out.
I don't know what I was thinking, but yes,
We're all delusional human beings at one point.
worked out in my
Um,
favor this time.
Listen, the universe always works in your favor. Even when you don't think so, it was meant for it to happen.
Yeah.
But with all of that happening, like how scary was that? Losing your job, about to work full time, not knowing whether work for yourself full time, not knowing whether this is going to succeed or not. And also like, you know what? I'm going to quite possibly one of the more difficult cities in the world to quote unquote make it. Um, but yeah, talk about how scary was that for you experiencing all of that around the same time. And then
Hmm.
how jarring is it living in New York City in comparison to the DMV?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a sense of calm came over me when I got fired. I knew I wasn't scared until I was literally in my U-Haul driving to New York. That's
Mm.
when I was like, what the fuck am I doing? But yeah, up until that point, I had full confidence in myself that I was going to figure it out because I had figured it out, all through college. When I had to live on my own, in college, and I asked my parents to help me pay for an apartment, and they said, best of luck to you. And I had $500 to my name. I figured it out. So, I had more than $500 this time around to move up to New York. And so I just told myself, I'm going to figure it out. I had an apartment. I was living with my cousin, and she was super helpful with anything that I needed, definitely gave me. She was like, if you, pay me when you can, or, however, whatever the case may be, she was super, super open and helpful with everything and so accommodating. So I feel blessed. When I moved up to New York, I also was working with two brands. I was doing Twitter. I was running Twitter for one and helping the other with social media strategy. So I wasn't fully unemployed,
Hmm.
luckily, and that got me through the first couple of months before I was fully able to like let go of those two and go full time. Um, but yeah, it was scary for sure once I was on my way up there and I, was in my apartment by myself, well, with my roommate, of course, or with my cousin. But yeah, I was like, what the fuck's going on? Am I really doing this? Am I here? And then, yeah, just the difference between living in New York versus living in the DMV is first and foremost having a laundry unit in unit. I did not have that when I moved to New York, and it was so different to have to walk my laundry across the street and around the corner
Hmm.
to take it to the laundromat to do it. So that was interesting. But yeah, because even in college, like there was laundry, like freshman year, I had laundry downstairs, but then I lived in an apartment with a laundry in unit when I moved off campus my sophomore year. So that quickly went right back to the regular life. So yeah, that's first and foremost. Second, obviously, is just like um, being in a new place, having to learn the lay of the land, which I got pretty quickly. I was able to learn pretty quickly. I also had friends, Valentina, Veronica, were super helpful in everything that I needed in terms of learning. They were both super knowledgeable about all the good places to go, how to get there, all the things. So I felt very blessed to have them too prior to moving up there. And the energy of New York is very different from the DMV. It's
Yes.
very different. It's very like DV definitely has a hustle type of vibe, but it's a different kind of hustle. I don't know how to describe it. Like in New York, it's like people have their head down, they are moving. You can see somebody walking naked down the street and they're going to mind their business.
Right.
Whereas in the DMV, it's going to become the news story of the day. So like that was very interesting. um, um, Yeah, I never encountered like a rude New Yorker. All the people who I encountered were pretty cool. I mean, you have the occasional person who is rude, but I feel like you can get that anywhere. So I never encountered that. I never had that experience where like someone was from New York and they were just like overtly rude.
Hmm.
But yeah, just like having that fast paced life of like going to events, do because like back home it was like I was going to work, I was shooting content, whenever I could in between my work schedule. Everything was like surrounded around work or school. Whereas when I moved to New York, it was like, boom, we're going to this event, boom, we're shooting this content, boom, like you can step outside and create all the things. Now, granted, I only lived that life for all of maybe 6 months or so. I would say
Hmm.
September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 7 months. Because then we hit the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I literally moved up to New York in the worst possible time, 7 months before everything hit. And, once everything hit with the pandemic, I was going home way more often. And I, transparently was not, me and my cousin were not vibing. She's a nurse. So, like, we were not vibing. Because, like, our schedules were pretty opposite
Hmm.
when with the original thing. Like, she would go to work during the day or, like, and then, like, come home and, like, chill in the evenings. And then I would head out to do whatever um, I needed to do or whatever the case may be. And I would be home all day being able to create content and do all the things. So our schedules were pretty opposite. So we weren't in each other's space too much or on top of each other too much. And then when the pandemic hit, we completely had to be in 800 square feet, you know, all the time.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was a different experience. So I found myself coming home a lot, which ultimately made me make the move back home. I do miss New York, but now I'm in a wonderful place where I can travel up there whenever need be, stay in a hotel, stay with friends, do what I need to do. But yeah, those are definitely the differences between DMV and New York for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You use one word that ties into the next. I don't. We could keep it short, but you use the word there, confidence, and I think when it comes to anything that anybody should do, they have to have some level of both a rational confidence, but also like an irrational confidence. Like
Yeah, delusion.
ration, yeah, yeah, like having a level of like, okay, is this truly feasible, and
Right,
does it really suit me? That's where the
right.
rational comes from. But then the irrational aspect of, like you mentioned, you had a manager that was, basically laughed at you when you told them your dream. And we've
Yeah,
all heard the different stories from people who are wildly successful and like the people that doubted them along the way. And I think
yeah.
that's where the irrational comes from. It's like, hey, if I feel this strongly about something, if this is truly my passion,
Hmm.
I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to do it and I'm
Yeah.
going to make it work. And I think it's
Yeah.
something that we don't talk about enough in general. I think a lot of times we allow doubt, whether it's from ourselves or peers, kind of creep in and kind of like
Yeah.
knock us off our pedestal. And it's like, no, you got to be irrational about certain things. And that's the only way that it's going to get done. If you waver at any moment, you're going to find all the reasons why you shouldn't continue doing something.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
I mean, I be speaking facts from time to time. From
You
time
do.
to
You
time, you
do.
know,
You be spitting.
I be trying. I try. What was your first sign of like? Okay, I mean, you came to New York with two brand deals, so I
Yeah.
guess. So what? I guess I'll rephrase it then. Was having the brand deals like your first sign of like I could do this? And then
Mhm.
were there any, on the other hand, were there any moments while being in New York where it's like, okay, this isn't ideal for me. Like this something isn't right.
So the two things that I was doing were more on the back end. I wasn't like at the forefront, so they weren't deals. They were more so I was like an employee of
Ah,
both things. So I was like making consistent biweekly checks, monthly checks, all the things. So that was helpful in terms of stability for sure. And yeah, that gave me a little bit more of like, okay, I can really do this type of energy. I think when everything really hit the fan, like in the summertime, with the pandemic, with everything going on, with um, the Black Lives Matter movement,
mm-hmm.
just everything going on with that. That's when I was like, am I supposed to be here? And everything, my cousin and I weren't really vibing, like I said. So that was kind of a moment where I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here.
Mm,
Um, but but yeah, I would say that after I kind of made the decision to move back home, it was almost like an instant regret. I'm like, dang, I really don't want to leave New York, and then life's kind of started to unfold. So I wanted to move back. I had plans to move back, and then I met Ash, and
mm.
I wasn't going to leave
Listen,
in the middle of such an amazing relationship, but yeah, like I definitely had a moment of like, can I really do this? And I mean, I definitely had that moment prior to the pandemic, a handful of times, just like financially. I'm like, am I going to be able to like really handle all of this? But um, whenever I had moments of doubt, I would like literally sit down, talk to whoever's up there and just and yeah, just kind of like get my thoughts out, and within a week or two, God, universe, my ancestors, the people looking out for me,
yeah,
wherever, you know
whatever spirits
something,
tell
a
me
sign was
something.
sent,
Yeah,
yeah, a sign was sent to me that everything was going to be okay. So, and it's
that's
happened. So
that's what's up. That's good. I always feel like I mentioned earlier, like the universe works in your favor. So
absolutely.
whenever you make those decisions, then certain things happen, and then it's like, ah, that's what that was.
Yeah, for sure.
That's yeah, it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love when that happens. I love when that happens.
Me too.
Um, so going back to like content creation a little bit,
Mhm.
how do you balance when and when not to capture content? I know you make you joke around with Ash of like her blank face when it's like, oh, here she go recording shit again. But
Yeah.
like I'm sure in reality, like you have to make conscious decisions. She's like, you know what? I just want to enjoy the moment. I'm not
Yeah.
working right now.
Yeah. Um, I mean, honestly, for me, when I'm just trying to, I discern it obviously based on if I'm going to something for work, if I'm doing something just for leisure, for fun, and also like what it is. If it's something I've done before, like, I'll typically not record when I'm going to go do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if it's a really special moment between Ash and I, or just like something chill, like I'll try to either not be in my phone or not be recording or not be or do what I need to do real quick and then get back to, being a little bit more present. Um, but yeah, it's just a lot of discernment about timing, what kind of vibe it is. And also like yesterday I went to a retreat that was specifically for like healing Black women,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to record it because I want to like make content out of it, but it was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna record a couple minutes here, a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there, and then like really immerse myself back into the experience. So it definitely is a lot of just like, if I know I definitely want to make content out of it, making conscious, like quick, easy, getting the shot, um, making sure that I'm getting the right shot, and then putting it away and getting back to the moment for sure. But again, if it's something that's like, I've done before, or
Hmm.
something that's like, I just need to be more present, or I'm just tired of being on my phone, then
Hmm.
phone is away.
That's good. That's good that you
Yeah,
have that balance.
for
Um,
sure.
okay, so this will be like the last thing we'll discuss before we wrap things up, or the last segment. You definitely touched on upon like even just now, not necessarily feeling like you need to be a brand 24/7.
Yeah,
Um, and then so you'll balance out of I'm sure you'll balance out like the moments when you're gonna be the fashionista, but then the moments where it's like, you know what, it's just gonna be sweatpants, hair tied, no makeup on kind of day.
yeah.
And I bring this up because I was randomly on TikTok one day and I saw this clip from another podcast. These two girls, I think they're based in New York. These two girls, and of course they were saying it in like a joking manner, but it kind of reminded me of like a real life experience I had. But it was these two girls, and they was talking about like they low key hated dating a dude that's like fly, and like it put pressure on them of like if he gonna be on his P's and Q's all the time, like I gotta also feel like I gotta be on his sort of like standard.
Energy, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like even if he's on his casual, because this is how I felt, but then I also took it back because I had an
Hmm.
ex who used to say that too. She was like, "Yo, like sometimes I just want to pull up, or we going out, like I just want to have sweatpants on," and I would tell her like, "Yo, you could put sweatpants on, like I don't care what you wear, like you with me, it
Hmm.
don't matter." But she'd be
Hmm.
like, "No, the way you're dressed, it makes me feel like I'm underdressed, or like it makes me feel like people be looking at us as like, oh, why he with her?" And it's like it don't matter. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I just found that like funny. Do you ever feel like you may participate that in as well as like maybe I may not need to be on 10 right now. Maybe I
Yeah,
need to be on like 7. Like it's just we need to chill out, or I need to chill out.
yeah. Um, yes and no. Like sometimes, like we went to my little brother's football game a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I need to get this fit off. Like I need to get this fit off. Like, I don't care that we're about to go to a sophomore in high school's football game. I need to like, and it wasn't nothing crazy. It was like some army pants and like a cute little like top, whatever sweatshirt moment.
Right.
But Ash was like,
What are we doing?
"Why? Why do you have that on?" It wasn't nothing crazy. I was still wearing sneakers and like it was like chill, but it was like chill cute. And like it was raining or it started to rain at the game, but I didn't know it was supposed to rain. Um, So yeah, I'll have that moment sometimes, but 9 times out of 10, I try to make sure that I'm like sticking with the vibe of the occasion. Um, Definitely going to the airport because I dress like I wear like trousers. I'll wear like a cute like top or like, and it's because I sat next to this guy one time
Hmm.
and he was like fully dressed in a suit. And so just making natural conversation, I was like, "Oh, like that's a really dope suit." It was like purple and gray. It was like super dope. So I was like, "That's a really dope suit. Like I really like it. Are you going somewhere when you get off the plane?" He was like, "No." He was a black man.
Hmm.
And when he was like, "No, whenever I come to the airport and I always dress nicely because you get treated better."
Oh, I
And I
didn't even
was
think
like,
about that. That
"Wow.
makes sense though.
Wow." I was like a mind fuck. I was like, "Wow, yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
It
Like,
makes sense, but then at the same time, I
it's
feel
fucked
like,
up. Yeah,
yeah, I feel like this like white oppression at the same time of
yeah,
like,
it's messed up. It's like it's a messed up thing. So one of my favorite creators, Janae Naylor, formerly Hyla Lux, she has made it like a thing of like cute airport outfits that are still like chill. And I started like doing the trouser thing and just throwing like a comfortable, still comfortable, and I'll wear trousers and like throw on just like a t-shirt or something, tuck it in and have like a graphic tee with some trousers and some sneakers still wear sneakers, whatever, but just putting a little bit of a on the airport fit. And Ash is always just like, why are we doing this?
Yes.
Anyway, but yeah, sometimes yes, but 9 times out of 10, it's eight, okay, 7.5 times out of 10, I dress for the occasion.
Fair, fair.
And I hope that like sometimes Ash will say something, 9 times out of 10 like she's chill, she doesn't care, but like sometimes she will say something, so I feel like I'm on the opposite side of that, where like I'm the one who's like overdressing and she's the one that's like, well, now I feel like I gotta change or like do something else, whatever. But um for the most part I try to stay with the vibe. And she does too, like she'll like come in and see what I'm wearing and then be like,
S-
okay, I know
smart,
that.
smart,
Bye.
smart,
Yeah. Yeah.
smart.
She'll like wait to get dressed until I get dressed. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. I think you and I are in the same sort of boat because my
Yeah.
ex used to say that to me all the time. She was like, "Yo, you doing too much," and I was like, "Yo, this is not even that crazy." And I
Yeah.
had sent her that clip of the podcast with the girls,
Yeah.
and we were talking about it and laughing about it. And then I was like, "Nah, I think you still was bugging out back then because I wasn't doing that much." And then, funny enough, like maybe 2 or 3 days after that,
Uh-huh.
I saw another clip of this dude, and he was saying like, "Yo, if I'm stepping outside, like I gotta make sure I'm on point at all times." And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Wait, that's really a me." So then I sent her the clip again, and I was like, "I apologize for everything I said previously. Like, you're right. I was wilding out. I was wilding out. I was bugging out. I was
Listen,
bugging out." It'd be like that.
you got to do what you got to do to make you feel good. You can't think about other people all the time.
Right, exactly. And then I've always been of the logic like you just never know who you're gonna bump into. So it's like I gotta be
Yeah.
on my P's and Q's because you just
Yeah.
never know. You just never
Yeah.
know.
I haven't gotten to the place yet where I'm like, I know I'm gonna see people out, so I can't dress any kind of way. For the most part, I've had a couple people come up to me when I look bummy, and I'm like, dang. But like then I'm like, I don't give a fuck because I'm a real person. You know what I mean? So like, yeah.
Fair, yeah, yeah. The only time I'll do bummy is like if I ain't get no haircut yet, and then it's like I don't even care to get cute because my hairline's all messed up. Like right now's not the time. Don't talk to me. Like
I'm
I don't want to
dead.
see humans. I'm good. All right. This has been quite lengthy, but has been wonderful. So I want to wrap this up with like this rapid fire, but not really rapid fire segment. So, answer as best as you can. So, okay. One song that represents your childhood, one song that I guess represents your early 20s, and then one song that represents you right now. And we can come back to this if it's too hard on the spot.
No, I mean, I would say I can do my early 20s. It is Fantasia, I believe. It
Okay.
is the song that she sang when she won American Idol.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to the lyrics, they are very good, and it's definitely representative of my early 20s. Of my childhood, I would say, hmm,
We can skip.
I would say Beyonce, I Care.
Okay.
Yeah, because I definitely dealt with like people who didn't care a lot, but I cared a lot.
Mm,
But I
mm.
know it's supposed to be about like relationship, but it can definitely be like,
Music is subjective.
yeah, exactly.
There you go.
So, and then one that represents my right now, Calm
We
and
oh
Patient by Janae Aiko.
oh
Yeah,
nice
yeah,
nice.
definitely. The lyrics are, I'm satisfied with life, you know, that's
Mm.
where I'm at right now. Like I'm satisfied with life. I forget the rest of that line, but yeah, that's Calm and Patient is definitely kind of like where I'm at right now. It's a mix between that and Ungrateful by Key Glock and Meg Thee Stallion.
Okay, okay. I wasn't expecting that, but that's the versatility. You're
Yeah,
layered, okay? Because we all
yeah.
have listen, we all seen the memes of like the dude be in the car and it'd be like the most gangster rap music and a caption be like driving to work. And it's like, yo, we have layers. Like sometimes that's the energy that you on. I don't want to commit an act of violence, but the music right now, that's the mood I'm in. That's the mood I'm in. It's like I
Yeah,
respect it. I
for
respect it.
sure, for sure. The duality is there for sure.
Of course, of course. I'm a big believer on duality, and we might be twins. I think we're twins, and we just don't even realize it. Like, what else we have here? Okay, so what's one life hack that you feel like isn't discussed enough, or is not really considered a life hack, but it's a life hack to you?
Hmm. I would say, hmm, something that's a life hack to me is therapy. I don't know. I mean, like,
Listen,
I don't know. Yeah, like,
therapy is a cheat code.
therapy is a life hack. Everybody should go. It is so helpful. And yeah, that's what I got because I'm trying to think of anything else that's like a life hack that because I feel like there's so many life hacks, like now. And there's so many different ways to like, yeah. But yeah. And what's the other one I was gonna say? Waking up earlier is a life hack too. I've always been a morning person.
Same.
Yeah, I love waking up early, but waking up earlier, even when you're an early bird, is a life hack because literally you get so much done. And like some people are nocturnal, so they can stay up late and get stuff done. I am not that person. I'm literally like over here trying not to yawn at 8:49 in the evening. Um, but yeah, waking up earlier and going to therapy are both life hacks. They're life hacks that a lot of people know, but yeah, definitely life hacks.
True, true. But hey, maybe they're underappreciated by some, so maybe this will convince them. So you never know. You never know.
Go to therapy, please. Everyone,
Yes,
everyone go to
everyone,
therapy.
especially the men,
Yeah,
especially the men.
especially the heterosexuals. Yeah,
Yes, thank you
please
for correcting me.
all of
Yes,
you,
yes,
please go to
yes,
therapy.
yes. If you're breathing, just go.
Yes.
Yes, yes. If there was one thing you could change about society, the world, what would it be and why?
Oh my God, everything, and because.
That might be the best answer. I don't think anybody's gonna top that answer. You're not wrong. You're not
Yeah,
wrong.
remove all of the isms and the
Mm,
is, and
the
switch it
X.
out. The is, take out all of those, all the isms, all the is, and remove poverty and homelessness and hunger and everything bad and replace it with love, compassion, empathy, lots of plethora of abundance for everything, for everybody, and we're good. Yeah. Just give me a utopia and I'm happy girl.
There you go. There you go. Perfect answer. Perfect answer. One restaurant, and of course, you travel across the world, so it doesn't have to just be in the DMV, or maybe it can be. But one restaurant that everybody should go to, and a dish from that restaurant that you recommend.
I like that question. Okay. One restaurant that everyone should go to in the DMV, I would say Delania is this like Spanish restaurant. It's kind of like a Spanish infusion, and you have to get the ribeye. It's so freaking good, or the
Mm.
tomahawk steak. Both are very good. The
I'm laughing because I just seen like a clip from this podcast about the tomahawk steak. I'm gonna send it to you when we finish recording, and I was
okay,
crying. It's
yeah.
hilarious.
So you gotta go to Delania. That's like one of my favorite places. And then somewhere that's not in the DMV. Um, Anywhere in New Orleans. A lot of the food in New Orleans is so good.
This is
So,
true. This is very true. I
food
haven't
in New
been.
Orleans, if you haven't been, you have to go. Go to Acme, get the char grilled oysters, um, or Dragos. You can go to Dragos too. But yeah, those are what pop into my head right now. I've been to like Ash and I have a list of like places that we've been, and I like always have to go through and be like, where have we eaten? Because we've eaten at like a lot of different places. But also, there's this place called Wake and Late. in LA,
Mm-hmm.
and Ash always finds our food places. I found Delania though. I get take credit for that, but she finds our food places because she watches like Kev Eats and Keith Lee,
Mm.
and this spot in LA called Wake and Late. They have the best breakfast burritos ever. Oh my gosh, they're
Mm.
so good. They're so good. So yeah,
There's an app you can use that I just downloaded. I forgot the name of it. I'll tell you after. That I use to like track all the different restaurants, and I could rate them at the same time, so that way I know like, okay, I've been to this place, I've been to that place. So
yeah,
it helps you organize. Um,
absolutely, yeah. I'm like, look at this note real quick.
and then okay, what's a wine that you suggest or a drink that somebody should try?
Everybody should have a pineapple jalapeno margarita in their lifetime. If you've never had a spicy marg, at least,
Yo,
or you've
that's the
never
same answer that Veronica gave me.
yeah, you need to have a spicy marg. Like
Okay.
literally, I don't care if you don't like spicy drinks. I don't care. You need to have a spicy marg.
And then
Jalapeno,
I had
a
spicy marg yesterday.
jalapeno margarita. Like you need to have it. So yeah, that would be specifically a pineapple jalapeno margarita. I actually just had one recently when I was in Alabama.
Not even
So good.
words, just physical movement. No, not even words, just physical movement. Okay,
Love it.
okay,
So good.
okay.
So good. So yeah.
All right. Well, the very last thing is, is there anything you want to share to the people that's listening, to whoever? Like, maybe something you're working on, something people should pay attention to, something you may indulge in that you want to share, like anything. Any last words?
Really, just that I'm super grateful to be here. Thank you guys so much for listening in. Consistently working on everything all the time creatively. So tap into the Esperanza Maria on all platforms. I will be coming back to YouTube in 2024 for the girlies who have been looking out for that. And yeah, just super grateful to be on this journey and make sure that you tap in at some point.
Lovely, lovely. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule for doing this.
Yes.
So appreciative of our friendship, and
Yes.
yeah, just thank you again for jumping on. This is officially
Yeah.
the longest podcast I've ever done in my life, and it was worth it because I've learned. Even though we've been cool, we haven't really had a chance to like really talk like
Yeah.
that or really hang out. And
Yeah.
so I've learned so much about you